So I thought the concept of playlist jams sounded really interesting as a creative, because I personally always create very heavily influenced by music. So I think when that is the case, and usually you are the person getting to choose what the music is, it's very easy to get sort of lured into a repetitive way of creating almost. And I thought by having someone else select the music, that gives you just a different way into the creative process. And I think it's also a really useful experience for those times when you are handed a brief, more so to speak, in a work scenario, and you sort of have to meet that criteria almost. Yeah. I found that the music that was selected for me was something that I would have enjoyed listening to, but not even necessarily something that I would have put into my own playlists, if that makes sense. So it was kind of delving into, I was very indecisive about what direction to take it in. So I ended up trying out a lot of different things before I felt like I found something that both resonated with me, but also with the song that I'd been given. At first, I thought I would be able to just kind of, although the song was chosen for me, I felt like I would still be able to apply sort of my usual structure of how I would approach it. And in the end, I ended up doing something completely different to what I normally do. Personally, I'm quite I like to feel in control in my creative process, so I will do a lot of planning and I'll kind of follow a structure usually, whereas with this I ended up doing, the material was largely sort of experimenting with different forms of improvisation and responding to the music. So I tried to find a way to make that feel genuine, and then the more structural in control side was putting it all together more on the editing side of things afterwards, because I decided to go more of a route where I created structure with improvisation, if that makes sense. Which I don't normally do. Playlist jam is there, you want us to be able to just kind of freely explore and then see what happens, and that was great, but then I think I couldn't help myself but overthink it still. So I tried a few different directions and then didn't feel like that was working out, and then came back to one of my first ideas and ended up going with that. And so yeah, not anything that was so difficult that it hindered me directly, but it was interesting that I kept reevaluating my process more than what I normally would have. And I kind of like that, because I think you should never stop learning as a creative. I think that's a huge part of, but then sometimes we get kind of tricked into these repetitive patterns. And yeah, I also have the more project like that I could just be doing, but it's something when you receive sort of just a time frame and a date and have it in by then, and then that makes you just do it. And it's weird, because you could just do it all the time. You could just create all the time, but sometimes it's just hard to make it to that final stage, I think. And it's nice to have a sort of setup that holds you accountable a little bit. And I felt like it did challenge me as a creative to just step out of my comfort zone a little bit, but without leaving behind the skill set I have, if that makes sense. Just tuning my mind to work it in a slightly different way, which I always think is a good thing when that happens. I guess it also comes down to when it's just you and when it's involving other people, and what you feel confident that you can facilitate out of people, and what you feel confident you can facilitate out of yourself. So I always sort of, and this is weird, I don't know why this is the case, but I think I always feel a bit of a responsibility with people, that I'm not wasting their time. And I know that's not how it works, but that's still kind of where my mind goes in response to that. I think that comes down to me not fully trusting myself within that process still, that I don't feel fully confident that I can facilitate out of other people what I feel like I can sort of let go and explore in myself. I think the main thing for me was just seeing that I'm capable of exploring in more ways than what I think or what I trust myself to do sometimes. I think when you find a method that you feel you can rely on, it's easy to kind of return to that every time. And for me, it was really comforting in a way to see that I could go a completely different way and make it work. And also, I have to say this, I had a stage in once I had kind of committed to the idea where I was trying to make the idea work and I like couldn't make it work. Like I was just like very frustrated with how it was turning out. And then I kind of had to get past that and see, like, in the end, I'm really happy with how it turned out, but it took me a while to get there and a lot of sort of, reevaluating the process both during and before. So, yeah.